Alright, I got an idea for this video because this is my new puppy if you haven't seen him. Can you please, I already have a girlfriend. Okay, so basically, I get stopped a lot asking about upgrades. Now this video is targeted towards new Harley owners, whether you're young or old, whatever it is. If you never had a Harley before, first of all, get ready to go into debt because you're going to be paying a lot of money. Besides that, there's a lot of upgrades you could do. Harley makes a great bike, no doubt about it. It's one of a kind, but there are changes that need to be made. What we're going to talk about today are the top 8 changes that you need to make on your Harley. No particular order. We're going to talk about whether, let's go over the 8 real quick. How, if you look at your stock Harley suspension, except for like the 2023 CVOs, they changed it again. Well, changed it for the first time in a while. So if you look at your stock Harley suspension compared to any of these aftermarket brands, it's night and day. You will not believe you've been riding around on a piece of junk that Harley puts out compared to what's available aftermarket. I don't know why Harley skimps on their suspension. They put together a really great bike, but the suspension's got to go. So that's probably number one to change. We're going to talk about the different kinds of suspension out there. What's best for you as not necessarily a new rider, but a new Harley rider. Or you might have had a Harley for years, but finally you go into the forums or whatever on Facebook and you talk to people and they all tell you the same thing. So now maybe you're finally getting the idea. Whatever it is, we're going to talk about suspension, all the different kinds that are available. We're going to talk about your seat. The Harley seat is terrible. If you want to only ride around locally 20 miles at a time, you're okay. You want to do any type of distance, that seat has got to go. Sell it to somebody else that thinks they're getting a good Harley seat. So get rid of that seat. We're going to talk about what seat might be right for you. I've gone through probably 10 different seats in the last couple of years, and I finally found one I really like, and we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about your windshield. If you enjoy getting beaten up by the wind, whether it's a street glide or road glide, unless you're 4 foot tall, you're going to get hit by that wind. So we're going to talk about different windshields to get. And some look better, some whatever it is. Whatever you're looking for, we're going to talk about different windshields. Another big upgrade to do are your lights. Additional lights. Rear, side, front. You need to be seen. The drivers out there are oblivious to what's going on. And if you have stock pipes on your bike, then they're not going to hear you. We'll get the pipes next. So lights, you want to be seen. We'll talk about all different kinds of lights you could add. Let's talk about the pipes now. That's the thing. Now, if you are fine with owning a Harley but sounding like a BMW or a Goldwing, have fun with your stock pipes. Now, I'm not telling you to change the head pipes, get rid of the catalytic converter. All I'm talking about is slip-ons. Anybody could do it. And although you should get rid of the headers and the cat, but that's a whole other story. We're talking about first moves here. We're going to talk about different slip-ons. Very easy to do, depending on what you like to sound like, what you like your bike to sound like. So we'll talk about different slip-ons. We're going to talk about the bars. One of the first things I change on a new bike are the bars. They too low. I just hate them. I don't like the way they look. I don't like the way they feel. And you're doing long distance, you want your arms nice and comfortable. You don't want them to fall asleep. If you're down there, it's not good. It's more fatigue on your shoulders. From what I've read and understand and from what I've experienced, that's what I know. Again, you're going to learn from all of my mistakes, all the things that I bought that I probably shouldn't have bought. And but somebody else is going to tell you something totally different, so listen to whoever you want. Do your own research. So we're going to talk about different bars. One minor thing, probably number 8 on the list, is your phone charger. A couple different options out there. We can talk about different mounts. Why I picked the phone charger that I picked, and we'll talk about that real quick. Again, I get nothing back from this. I have no affiliation to any links I put out there. I'm just going by what's the most popular, what I've used, what others have used, and we're going to talk about all the different brands. So I'm going to talk about crash bars. If you drop them, the bar is protected. You can easily replace those bars if you need to, or paint them. So we're going to talk about crash bars finally. So those are the top 8 things that you need to change in no particular order, depending on what's more important to you. So we're going to go over all the different options in all 8 areas. Maybe talk about a couple of advanced upgrades at the end of the video that I personally have. So anyway, that's it. Hopefully he won't bother me anymore. But here he comes. This dog is possessed. But anyway, those are the top 8. Let's talk about them and go right into it. So pick your year, your model, and it'll list all the different parts for your motorcycle. Now, the thing with this, these are all Harley parts, and some things you have to go Harley, other things you don't. There's a lot of aftermarket parts that are better than what Harley makes. I mean, we could go more into detail on that, like their cams, their Screaming Eagle brand. There's definitely better out there, trust me. There's not many parts you're going to want original unless you're replacing a damaged part. So that being said, you can do what you want, but I really wouldn't go to Harley to get anything unless it's replacing the exact part you want to replace for damage or whatever. Okay, let's talk about RevZilla. RevZilla is probably the smaller of the next 3 sites that I'm recommending. Now, I did a search for Harley Touring. You could narrow it down. You could save your vehicle in here, type, year, same type of thing. You know, street bike, and you're gonna pick Harley and whatever. And then this is just a random listing, but there's basically 1,206 parts available for Harley Touring. Probably additional ones as well. Anything from seats to exhaust to whatever. So you can get everything on here: brake calipers, foot pegs, you know, instrument clusters, you name it, you can get it on here. So RevZilla is very good. Then you have denniskirk. denniskirk's probably the biggest of the 3. They usually ship the same day, which is great. And I did a search for my bike, 2022 Harley Davidson Street Class EVO, and then it will tell you if it's an exact fit or not, which is great. So anything you order from there, Rick Rack bag, I have it, gun holsters, whatever it is. This is in no particular order, but side covers, like anything aftermarket is on here. And the shipping is pretty much free and that day usually. So you can get everything on here as well. And then finally you have jpcycles, same type of thing. It says I did a search for my bike. There's 4,300 parts available, fits vehicle, whatever it says. So you go with that, and then when you click on it, you know, it tells you all about the unit. Like I actually had this. Oops, not that. Actually, I do have those. But you basically pick the unit, it tells you about it. You can read the reviews on it, which is great. See what other users have. If you're not sure if it fits, you can ask around. But if it says fits vehicle, it'll fit. So that's for RevZilla. Kind of a fourth one that I kind of like. That's not as big as the other ones, but they have more specialty parts, more of your custom high-end area. Air cleaners, like windshields and stuff, like colored windshields. I mean, you got seats, and you got everything here, all kinds of helmets, and you can spend a lot of money on these sites. Now, let's talk about financing real quick. If you pick an item, let's say, just for argument's sake, let's pick Khrome Werks slip-ons. It's out of stock, of course. But I gotta pick something that's right here. It says pay $62 a month with a firm. So if you don't want to dish the money out right now, or if your wife won't let you, $62 a month for $1,000, pretty much $1,000 product. They ship it right away. You just basically put your phone number in, it comes out of your bank account every month. And that's it. It's very easy. All these sites do it. Every site I just recommended does it, except for Harley. So if you want to pay monthly, and if you pay in advance, you pay no financing, which is great. So it's like having a credit card without having to affect your credit. So that's how this works. Those are the 4 sites I recommend, plus the Harley site. So getting that out of the way, let's go into the next area. Okay, let's talk about suspension. I'm going to talk about some of the ones that I've used, some of the most talked about ones on the forums. They got a lot of chatter, let's just say. So anyway, a couple of these I've used. I'm going to talk about each one. Some of the most popular. There are other ones out there. By no means is this all there's available. But let's talk about the most popular ones and what your choices are. So if you go to Harley's site and you do a search for suspension, they do sell Legends. But let's go to the Harley site. Okay, the Harley site. They have a. I'm speechless on this. Just don't. I mean, they have a Screaming Eagle Ohlins remote, which is the remote reservoir. Now, the remote reservoir is good if you're like an aggressive driver that really needs to adjust your shocks on the fly, like if you're going to do a race on the track or crazy riding like that. If you're an everyday rider, which probably most of you are, then you don't need to get a reservoir. So that being said, let's get away from Harley. Going over to Revzilla. Now I'm using like a 2022 Road Glide for comparison's sake. Now if you go to Revzilla, you have a choice between Legends and a few other ones, front and rear. Don't worry about front right now. We're talking about rear. So there are I think 3 different levels of Legends, and you can go from, I think the cheapest is probably these $7.99. You have air suspension ones. I don't think you need that. I have Legends of mine, the Revo Arcs. I believe I have these. They're in mine. They're pretty good. Then you have the reservoir ones, which are $1,500. But like I said, unless you're an aggressive driver, you really don't need that. If you do, great. Have fun. They look cool too. So you have Legends, and this is on Revzilla. If you go over to denniskirk, they have Ohlins. Now Ohlins and Legends, it's really who you talk to. Most people are either a big fan of either one. I've had both. I've had Ohlins, I've had Legends. I don't really see the difference. So they're both good. Again, you could pick based on how your type of driving, how much weight, how many times you two up. Do you have a big bride on the back? Are you a big groom on the front? Whatever it is, you could buy the shocks based on how heavy of a load you're carrying, or light of a load. So you have Ohlins, which are here. You have Legends, which I talked about, and there's a couple other brands here. These are all Ohlins that I searched for on here. So these are with the reservoir at the end. See what I'm talking about? But they're very well made shock. And like I said, you don't need the reservoir, but if you want to get it, because the CDI factor, chicks dig it. If you want to go with that, go for it. Then you have progressives. That's the next level down, in my opinion, of what I've read. I've had them, didn't like them, I changed them out, but they're better than the Harley shocks and they're cheaper. So you'll save a couple $100 if you want to get Legends. Again, this is from jpcycles. I'm just using different ones. Now, a couple other brands. You have Pro Action. Pro Action I'm kind of a fan of, but I don't own them. I've never tried them. I've talked to the guy that runs Pro Action a few times, and they have a very nice product there, and it's cheaper. So you basically tell them what size you want, how much you weigh, passenger weight, and they'll preload it for you. They have different lengths, 11, 12, 13, and 14 inches. Your Road Glide should come with a 13-inch, I believe, or Street Glide, or as low as a 12. Or you can get the reservoirs from them, and it's like $1,800. That's the going price, $15 to $2,000, if you want to get these reservoirs that you may not need. But Pro Action's another one. Wilburs is another up-and-coming one. Or I'm not even going to say up-and-coming. They're being talked about more. Let's talk about that. They seem like a very good product. I would like to try them out, but as of right now, I haven't yet. But I may switch to these. I kind of like them from everything I've read about it and seen. Now let's talk about Air Ride. You have 2 different options of Air Ride. dirty air, fast up rear air suspension system. I had this on my bike. You can watch one of my videos on how to install it. It's not a hard install. This is basically the air cylinder. These are the shocks. You get the heavy duty shocks from them or standard. You have a switch. You have a safety dump valve. And you can control how high or low you go. You can drop it all the way down to nothing, especially if you're a shorter rider. By having these dirty air fast up, you could instantly drop it down to the ground almost, and you could easily get on and off the bike and flat-footed. So if you're slowing down in traffic and you want to drop it a little bit because you may have to foot pedal a little bit, this is a great option. And it's not that expensive. That's the standard shock. So if you go to the premium, you jump up to $1,400. So this is the dirty air. It's how it installs. My video does a step-by-step on how to install it. It's pretty easy. These are the buttons. And you also get an air pressure gauge if you want to see how much. You don't need it, but it's good to have. So you can see where you're riding at. So that's, and finally, the granddaddy of them all, if you want to spend the money, Thunder Max. They have, it's called iRide. This is super intelligent, and you have a little, I don't know if it shows you here, but you have a little gauge here that's mounted on your bike, and you completely set it so when you slow down, it'll automatically drop it down to say 12 inches or whatever, however you want to do it, and you pick the exact ride level you're at. So if you're a shorter rider and you want to get flat-footed, when you get slowed down, like say 15 miles per hour, you could drop it down pretty low where it's not going to rub the tire or anything like that, but you'll be able to flat-foot it, and then automatically as you pick up speed, it rises again. But it's like $2,500, I think. So it's on you if you get it. So that pretty much covers suspension. One more thing on suspension. If you're a shorter rider, you can switch to one of those seats I'm going to talk about that will get you a little bit more flat-footed and bring you up a little closer. So there's choices in seats that will allow you to get closer. But since we're talking about suspension, let's talk about a lowering kit. You could get a lowering kit. There's a few different brands out there. I'm not going to talk about it in this video, but if you have any questions, I will talk about it. And basically what it does is drops you 1 inch to 2 inches depending on which kit you get. That inch might make all the difference in whether you're flat-footed or not. So it doesn't really affect the ride at 1 inch. Some people are dead set against it, but I've done it and I haven't had a problem. So I'm 6'1" and tons of fun. But I like to be a little more flat-footed. This gives me that little bit, a little more. So a 1 inch isn't bad. I didn't do it on this bike, but I've done it on another bike. So that covers suspension. Let's go over to the seat. Let's talk about seats. Now, I've gone through, I don't know, anywhere close to 10 different seats. Finding a way for my bony ass to not hurt after like a few hours. And again, this is kind of needs to be played around with by you. Depends on how tall you are, how close you like to sit to the tank, or further away if you're a big guy. How much cushion you need before your ass goes numb. So those are things you need to know. And the narrower the seat, the better for the smaller rider. But you have to play around with it. So that's the tough part. And some of these seats you can't send back. So let's talk about a few. First is, let's go Harley. If you do a search for a 2022 Road Glide, you have their hammock seat, Road Zeppelin air adjustable seat. I've never tried it. It looks comfortable. Low profile seat. You know, if you don't ride with anything. The Sundowner heated and cooled seat. Again, I've never tried any of their other ones. I've had the CVO seat and it was terrible. I mean, these seats look comfortable, but it's up to you if you want to give it a try. Some Harley dealers will let you try out seats. You go in there and they'll just give you a seat and you go take it for a ride, like a test ride. So they aren't bad. And I've had this one, the Mustang Super Touring. It's a wide seat, it's comfortable. It's comfortable for the rider. It's not bad looking, not the greatest. Depends on the style, how much it costs. Again, it's from Revzilla, but the Super Touring's pretty good. for long riders, long distance riders. And you got the Saddleman seats, and then you have these. This is on denniskirk. They have a whole bunch of different ones. They have like a built-in backrest. This is the Daddy Long Legs Lapera. It's pretty popular. I had a Lapera seat. I didn't really like it. Then they also sell you different cushions for your tour pack if you want to change the cushion. There's a whole bunch on these sites. So you have those. Bunch of different Saddleman ones. Mustangs. Those are the most common. Then you have, this is the seat I have. The ASR seat by Ciro. This is the Adam Sandoval seat. They basically got together and they created a seat. That's him. Okay. I like it. It's the most comfortable seat I've had. It really conforms to you, and it's a good seat. And it comes like this. You get the backrest additional. You get the pylon seat. Pilion. I don't even know how to pronounce that stupid seat. But my girlfriend says it's comfortable. So you can get with or without. And you can adjust the backrest all different ways. This is my favorite. It's a $600 seat. Then you have Corbin. Corbin is one of the best ones out there. They custom make the seat to what you like. You can actually go to the factory and try them all out. Not factory, the stores. There's certain outlets they have throughout. I'm not sure exactly where. I know there's one up by Daytona. And you could pick the colors and all kinds of stuff, and it's supposed to be extremely comfortable. I just didn't want to wait for a seat, so I never got one. So that's a possibility. Corbin. And then BadBoy Cycles. A lot of people rave about this. I've never tried one. Freedom Series. I don't even know what I'm looking at here. So I have different colored piping. And that's BadBoy Cycles. Finally, a cheaper option. CC Rider. CCRiderseats.com. I actually reviewed one of them. You can see it on my site. It's a low-cost alternative to Harley. It's more comfortable than Harley, but not quite as comfortable as some of these other premium seats that I mentioned. But they're not bad looking at all. They're built pretty well. And they have a lot of different color options. So they have a lot of different seats. So that's ccriders.com. You can check them out. So again, it really depends on, your size, how much you weigh, how long you ride, all that. If you just care about looks or do you care about comfort? So figure it all out and put it into a seat. You can always sell it privately, like a Facebook Marketplace, or offer up, and then buy another one if you have to, or trade it. But that should cover seats, and we're moving right along to the most important part. How does your bike sound with the slip-ons? Okay, you get your bike home. Sounds like a BMW or a Honda Nightwing Terra, whatever it's called, Nightstar Goldwing, or a lawnmower, whatever it is. The stock bike sounds terrible. And if you want a Harley, you got to change those pipes. First thing you got to do. So if you're going to change those pipes, let's talk about what your options are. It's very easy to do. You don't have to be mechanically inclined. It's only a few bolts. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts, I think, on each side. You can do it in 30 minutes or less. You just got to take the bags off and do it. It's not hard. You don't need a lift or nothing. So, looking at Harley Davidson, they had the Screaming Eagle Street Cannon slip-on mufflers. Will it be better in stock? Yeah, anything's better in stock. How much better? Not much. But you can do that because it's a Screaming Eagle. Or you can go do a search at revzilla, denniskirk, and you'll have Khrome Werks, Freedom Performance, Reinhart, Vance & Hines, the Cobra Neighbor haters. Those are all big ones you can get. Reinhart's one of the most popular, the DBX, the Vance & Hines, like I said. Bassani's are a great pipe. You get a lot of performance out of them. Usually it's a 2-into-1. You get a dummy pipe on the other side. That's a little I don't go by this one. That's a slip-on muffler. But you can just do the muffler, or you can do the whole pipe with Bassani. But again, we're not talking about the full headers and changing that out. We're just doing the slip-ons. So if we're going to go slip-ons, like I said, you have a choice of all these different ones. They all sound much better. Reinhart, Vance & Hines, blah, blah, blah. Oops. Then you can go to my favorite, which I have on, which will sound the loudest and the beefiest, is the Tab Performance 50 cals. They slip-on mufflers. You can get the slash cut or straight cut, and you get it with the Zombie Baffles. You get that, you're gonna sound good, even on a stock bike. So basically, it's $8.99. The Zombie Baffles are the loudest. Then you have other choices. If you don't want to go that loud, you pick your 2017 and up. You pick which tip you want, slash cut, and it's $8.99. Wait, it's not $8.99, is it? Let's go to the cart. Yeah, $8.99 with Zombie Baffles. Okay, but that's going to be your best sounding performance. Not really performance so much. You'll get a little bit more out of it, but it's basically sound a hell of a lot better than a stock bike. So pick any one of those, put it in the comments, we'll talk about it. There are other options, but anything's better than what you get when you drive home from that dealer. So let's talk about lights. Is it better to be seen or heard? How about both? So assuming you've accomplished the slip-ons, and if you haven't, you best be getting some lights. So basically, there's a whole bunch of different places you get lights from. I'm not talking about headlight upgrades or any of that. I'm talking about rear, front, and side lights. You basically have two sites for that. You have Custom Dynamics, which I just put in Road Glide again. So you have basically a bunch of now the LED turn signals. The lights you have on your bike stink. These are much brighter. You can easily replace them out. So you can put these in. You can put this on a windshield. The fairing, the windshield trim fairing lights. Forget about the headlamps. Saddlebag lights. They're sequential and they blink when you turn left or right, and they're on the side also, or just the rear. Fascia lights here. License plate lights, all that. So you have a bunch of different choices, front and back. Look into these. They're all a bunch of great choices. They're not too hard to install. Now, you can also get a modulator with them. So when you step on the brake, they flash and basically like pulsates as you're stepping on a brake. So it really helps with the visibility. So this is Custom Dynamics. That's your number one choice probably. And then Ciro also has a bunch. They have a whole bunch. Again, it's the blade lights. So these lights here to go on the saddlebags. You can see these are all for Road Glide. You have a bunch of different choices. You see what I'm talking about with it's almost like the kit car. But the whole idea is to be seen. So any one of these are great. Then you also have these other lights that you can light up your engine and all the other stuff. But that's cool, but you don't really need... I mean, you could do it. Like I said, you're going to be seen. You have the tour pack. You have them around the gauges. There's all kinds of different choices. But lights are a definite must-have. Whether you use Ciro, Custom Dynamics, or Amazon. Add some lights. And they have all kinds of... harnesses and stuff, and it's just plug and play. It's not hard to install. So lighting is a definite must. Check that out when you get a chance. Crash bars, let's cover that a little bit. You don't want to drop your pretty new bike. And everybody drops it for whatever reason. Whether it's slippery, you're in oil, you're fatigued, you're on a little bit of an incline, whatever happens, it happens. Somebody stops short in front of you, when you lose power with your bike, you drop the bike. It happens. Get over it. It happens. But let's not get any stupid damage to your expensive paint job. Let's get some crash bars on there if you don't have them. Now you can go to denniskirk or any one of those sites I've talked about and you have a bunch of different kinds of looks. Mustache bars, I call, lower profile ones. It says a shield front. I mean, there's so many different choices. You pick whatever you like, whatever style you like. I personally have installed these Vindikta. I did a review on these too. They're really cool. They're thick. They match my my bars. They're just badass. I like the way they look. So this is my personal favorite. But as long as they stop your bike from getting damaged, I would do it. Definitely do it, do it, do it. So get your crash bars on there. It may not look as cool, but it'll save you. Trust me. Moving on. Let's talk about bars. I'm only going to talk about a couple here. There's a bunch of different ones again you can get. But me personally, I like the KST. I've had the Spearhead on my Road Glide. What I like about the Spearhead, let's just click on that. What I like about that is they move in 3 different areas. You can move them front to back and in and out. There are 3 pieces, so it's very easy to install. I hate the chrome, but you can basically pull them in. You can move them up and down, so it's a lot, you know, back and forth that way. So it's very easy to install because they're in 3 pieces. So you have a choice of 10, 12, or 14. I had 14s on my Road Glide. I'm 6'1". I thought they were pretty good. I have 12s on my Street Glide CVO, and I like those also. So I probably would prefer 13. I don't know. So these are the wiring is very easy. They sell, where is it? 3 different pre-wired options. So you can get pre-wired also, and they'll fit. If you go up to a 12 or even a 14, you could just make it with a 14 without having to get wire extensions. I'd probably get the wire extensions if you go with a 14. But I happen to like the KST myself, and they're on my bike. Then you can also get the Dominator bars. They're pre-wired bars also for 2014 to 2023. And same kind of look almost. And they're pre-wired, so you don't have to worry. That's the hardest part, is the wiring. If you don't get them pre-wired, it's a bitch, let me tell you. So these are cheaper. They look cool. Just put the grips back on. You know, it's again how you like to look. So those are your main choices, in my opinion. Dominator or KST. There are other brands out there. Do your research, but I would change the bars because the stock bars are terrible, if you ask me. Moving on. Real quick on chargers. This is the one I have now. And the reason I went with Ciro, first of all, it's very well put together. It installs your perch. Oops, I don't want to do that. Comes with black or chrome. And what's great about it wires right to your battery. You could either take the tank off and do it the right way, or you can run it under the tank with zip ties into the battery. What's great about this, it's a wireless charger. Phone goes in there, it's always charging. And when you do road trips, you get caught in the rain, especially with an iPhone, it gets wet, it stops charging. This doesn't happen when you have this type of charger. If you don't mind just doing hook up to your accessory and running your charging cord up, and go with something like the Quad Lock. The Quad Lock's very good. They have anti-vibration dampener on there. And you have to get the case though. So it hooks into your case and you're good to go. There's different types of motorcycle mounts you can get. But those are your 2 main choices. They also have a wireless charging head also you could do. So they have the same type of system. I just never used those. So real quick, those are your 2 main choices. There are other options. You could do anything from Amazon. If it works, it works. But to avoid a problem when it gets wet, I would go wireless, whether it's Quad Lock or Ciro. Moving on. And number 8 on the list, the final one, windshields. You don't want to go with a small one unless you ride around local and you like to get beaten up. But me personally, I've tried all 3 of the following. I happen to like Clockworks, the flare. You have a bunch of different choices. You have this is from Road Glide now. Same thing for Street Glide, but it's a different model. So you have the 6-inch Sport, which you see here. You have a 9-inch Sport, 11-inch Sport, a 14-inch Sport. Then you have the 10 Pro Touring, the 12 Pro Touring, and the 15 Pro Touring. I like the Sport better because it angles, different angles. See what I'm talking about? 14 there or 15 here. Me personally, like the Sport. You could get tint or dark smoke. I like how they look. They're just a cool windshield. They work really well. It kind of scoops the air over your head. And I have a couple different ones. I have a small one. I forgot what size I have. I think I have the 11 and the 14. And I don't like to look through the windshield. I like to look above it. So it really depends on how tall you are also. So that's your Clockworks. You have Memphis shades. Bunch of different heights. 3, 4.5, 6.5, or 8.5. I'm not crazy about it. They have a different type of technology, but whatever floats your boat. And then finally you have the Freedom Shields. There's a bunch of different sizes here. Freedom's pretty good too. I had them, but I prefer the Clockworks. But that's just me. That's up to you. So that pretty much covers all the windshields and all 8 of our items. Let's do a quick tour of my bike, and then we'll end it. And any questions, put it in. We'll end it. All right, that does it. That's the top 8 for you, the new rider, the new Harley rider. Again, welcome to the club if you are brand new, or if you've been around, just haven't done an upgrade yet. Once you start, it's addicting. If you ever gotten a tattoo, you're going to get more than one tattoo. If you start doing upgrades on your Harley, you're going to do a lot more upgrades on your Harley, because there's so many ways to improve it and get a better ride out of it. Something that you love. I mean, we all love the wind in our face and the wind therapy, all that. But to improve on your ride and make it your own, not like everybody else's blacked out Harley. Make it your own. Do whatever. I mean, cosmetically, there's a million ways to go. Forget about that. I'm talking about pleasure upgrades. Make your ride better. Make you feel better. Those are all possible. I'm not talking about performance. You want to talk about performance? We could talk about performance. Look at my other videos. There's this dog. I did a bunch of upgrades. My cam, I have an auto clutch in there, so I don't have to pull the clutch lever in anymore, because I have this auto clutch, which is amazing. Can you really, seriously? So anyway, there's a million different upgrades. New cam, get rid of those headers, all that stuff. We'll talk about that later in other videos. This video is for you, the new rider. These are the type of upgrades you could do right now. Go to one of those sites. If you don't have the money, or if you're trying to hide the money from your wife, whatever it is, use a firm and get it. Low monthly payments is the best way to go. But do something. Do one of these upgrades. You will not be disappointed. Guarantee you will not be disappointed. You're going to want to make an upgrade to one of these, any one of these. Whatever order you feel is more important. 1 through 8. 1 through 8, some of them aren't as important. Some you may already have something similar. Whatever it is. If you don't, check off one of these items. Any questions, put it in the comments below. I'm here to help you. I've made a lot of mistakes, and I learned from those mistakes, and I'm trying to share that with you. So if you're new to the site, hit the like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Like and subscribe. Again, any links I put in there, I'm going to put some links in the description. I may not do it the first day, but I'm going to add links to every one of these. I don't make a single cent from any one of those. None of these companies are sponsoring me. So it is what it is. So I don't know why I have the mic here like that. Stupid. So none of these companies are sponsoring me. If you want to sponsor me, here I am. Till then, ride safe. Any questions, put it in the comments. I answer usually right away. Email me if it's a long, detailed question. I'm here to help. I love helping. love riding. Put the two together. There you go. Till then, ride safe.